God bless you. I'm very pleased to be able to reach out to you by this means. I thank you once again for communicating with me through the blog and for telling me about the situations or the problems or the conflicts that you're facing. I thank you for your trust. And today I'm going to read the question that I'm going to be focusing on today. And it says, God has blessed me with 3 wonderful children, 2 of which are my husband. My firstborn knows the truth. I have been wanting to tell the truth to my other 2 children, but my husband disagrees. He says that there's no reason for them to know. Every time I bring up the subject, we end up arguing. I have been thinking of telling them without him knowing, but the fact that doing it behind his back is scary since we have a good relationship. What should I do? It's even harder to do that. Unfortunately, a lot of people know, and there's always someone who's willing to talk. You're absolutely right. There's always someone that is willing to share information that they do not have the right to share. So you have to be very aware of that. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you because I think it's so wonderful that you have been able to remarry, find a husband that loves your firstborn as much as he loves the other children. The reason why I say this is because the fact that he does not want the other 2 or his other 2 kids to know about it is because he wants to maintain a good relationship among all of them. And I think it's wonderful that you were able to find that God provided for you a man that loves you, that you have a good relationship with him, and that he has accepted your son or your daughter as his own. That is absolutely wonderful. I am also very glad that you guys took the time to tell your firstborn the truth about him not being the natural son of or daughter of your husband. I think that's wonderful because a lot of times when kids grow up and they find out all of a sudden that, you know, this is not my real dad, it tends to affect them a lot, especially in their teenage years. So it's wonderful that you both took the time to explain to him or her that he's not the natural son of or daughter of your husband. So that's a good thing. You already did a lot. You have accomplished a lot by doing that. So I congratulate you on that. And I don't know how he's dealing with that, but I imagine by what you're telling me that he's dealing pretty well with the fact that, you know, his father is a different person or her father is a different person than of his siblings. So I think that's wonderful. Now, I want you to know that the last verse of the book of Ecclesiastes, it says that there's nothing that you could hide, whether it's good or bad, that will not eventually come out and be known. So your husband needs to be aware that sooner or later, his children are going to find out that your oldest father is not the same as he is. Sooner or later, they're going to find out. So your father needs to be very aware of that because it's in the Bible, because there's no secret on earth that you can keep for very long. One way or another, it tends to pop up and surprise you. So the best thing would be here for your kids to know from you and your husband and not from a stranger or from a friend or from a relative. It's very important that it's your husband and you, the one telling him or telling them this truth. Now, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. You have to take into consideration their age. Are they old enough to be able to understand what's going on? Is it the right time to tell them? Are they pretty much stable emotionally right now in a way that you can share with them this information and it's going to be okay? Because, for instance, if they're in their teenage years, it could be very traumatizing for them to find out all of a sudden about, you know, this is my son or my daughter, it's not from your dad. So the teenage years, they're already a very complicated stage in a person's life. So you have to be aware of all of that. How old are they? I would say that if they're anywhere from 7 to 10 years old, it's the perfect time before all that conflict starts going on in their hearts, you know, the hormonal change and all that. And then on top of that, hearing a news of that, a news like that, it might be really shocking to them. Now, if they're already in their teenage years, it's too bad you didn't do it sooner. But even it's going to be a little bit more traumatizing now, but it would be better to hear it from you and your husband than to hear from somebody else. You need to explain this to your husband. But your husband might not be ready yet. He might not be ready to share this information. He might be worried about something that he's not telling you, or he might want to feel that, you know, this is his family. Maybe he took over parenting your son or daughter, and he does not want to feel like somebody else has control over his family. He might want to feel like, you know, this is my family, and I want to keep it nice and together, and I don't want nobody else to step in. Just the knowledge of that somebody else exists might take over some of the power I have over them. There might be a million things going up in his head as a man. There might be many frightening things going on in his head that might make him feel like, I don't want to share this information. It's not the time. You need to hear him out. You need to hear what his reasons are. Why is it that he does not want to share this information yet? When does he want to share this information? Does he want to do it in a year, in two? Or is the situation that he never wants to share it? If the situation is that he wants to share it, you know, in a certain amount of time, give him time. He might need time to get ready to be able to talk about this subject. It might still be something that bothers him or that makes him sad about it. So if he needs some time, give him some time. If it's a determination he has taken on as saying, I never want them to know, you need to read him this verse in the Bible, the last verse of Ecclesiastes. You need to let him know, hey, you know what? They're going to find out even if we don't tell him. Even if we don't tell them. It's best that we tell them. It'll be less traumatizing for them if they hear it from both of you than they hear it from somebody else. But be patient. I would never suggest that you go on and tell them, you know, behind your husband's back. You're going to destroy your relationship and the trust that you have worked so hard to build. Please do not do that. That would be a big, big mistake. That would damage your relationship, it would damage your marriage, and eventually that's all going to come back to your children and damage your children. It's wonderful that you have a good relationship with your husband. Keep it that way. Learn to talk to him. And if he does not have the ability to communicate, teach him. Teach him. Break that barrier. Break that. Build a bridge that you can actually develop a way to help your husband talk to you. Men have a lot of problem discussing their feelings or what scares them, especially what scares them, because they got in this mind that it's very set in their mind that they're supposed to be strong, they're supposed to be courageous, nothing is supposed to scare them, they're supposed to be the man of the house. So it's very frightening for them to share with their wife, you know, it scares me to talk about this to my children. I don't know how they're going to react, or I'm worried about what they might think of you, or I'm worried about how they might treat our other son or daughter. There might be a million things that are worrying him. He might not be able to talk about it with you because it might be scary to tell you this stuff. He might think of him as less of a man. There could be a million things going on in his head. You need to build a bridge where you're able to have true communication with your husband. And by true communication, I don't mean just talking about, you know, the daily task or whatever happened at work or whatever happened in the house or whatever's happening with the children. True communication is when I'm able to open up with my husband and tell him how I'm feeling. Even if what I'm going to say sounds weird or sounds silly or sounds dumb, but I'm still able to communicate it with trust. I'm still able to tell my husband, you know, I am feeling this way. And he's able to tell me, you know, this scares me, this frightens me, this makes me feel this way. That's true communication. When you're able to open up your feelings and say how you truly feel about a certain situation. I don't know if your husband has been able to do this. And if he has done so, please be understanding about it. We're all different. And most certainly men are very different from women. And women, it has been proven that we tend to be a lot more courageous when we're confronting life situations or life's conflicts than men. So therefore, you have to be understanding. And if he is just saying, no, I don't want to do it, I don't want us to tell them, he's not giving you reasons, try your best to be able to, break down that wall that it's not allowing him to communicate with you truly and tell you what's really bothering him about it. What is the reason why he doesn't want to tell them? When does he want to tell them? Does he ever want to tell them? And most certainly, the best advice I can always give, no matter what the question is, you have got to pray and fast about it. It might be like a simple thing maybe, or a lot of your family members might tell you, don't worry about it, just let it go, just let it be. But it is a very serious matter, because it could actually affect emotionally the lives of your children. It could also affect emotionally the life of your oldest child, because if the siblings find out a little bit later on in life, they might not treat him with the same kindness or with the same respect or with the same love they're treating him now or her. So it is something serious. It is something that needs to be solved. When is it going to be solved? Well, you need to talk that out with your husband. Don't just get upset and don't argue. Most of the time we women have a tendency of getting really frustrated and upset when our husband does not see eye to eye with us. But you know what? They got their own point of views. I know that most certainly sometimes my husband's point of view is not exactly the same as mine, and that's okay, because my point of view, sometimes I bring it out to him and it's not exactly the same as what he's thinking. And it's not a problem. The thing is compromising, coming to a compromise. Okay, we will tell them, but I am not ready. He could say this. We will tell them, but I'm not ready. I would like to wait till they are, a certain age. Okay, I understand that. This is the way I feel. I feel that, you don't need to argue to disagree. As weird as that may sound. I can disagree with you, but I don't have to argue. I can just bring out the way I think, and you can bring out the way you think, and we can reach an agreement. You need to make him understand this. And you need to let him know that you definitely are willing to try your best to understand where he's coming from. Or why does he, absolutely say, I don't want to do this. You need to let him know that you do understand. You understand what he's feeling, and that you're willing to work with him so you may do what's best, not for you and your husband, but what's best for your children. What's best so they can get along. What's best so they can have that emotional stability. And in order for them to be stable emotionally, they need to be spoken the truth. Now, take into consideration their age, how they're feeling. Don't throw this at them when, they are already having a hard time. Let's see, they're going through a lot of peer pressure in school, and they're letting Mom, I'm going crazy, and you know what, sometimes I don't even want to live. Please don't throw that other thing out there right now, because it's not the right time. Find the right moment. Ask Jesus to prepare their hearts. Ask Jesus to open their mind as for them to understand what's going on. Be ready to answer a lot of questions, because they might have a lot of questions, especially to you. Mom, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Where is his or her father? They might have 100 questions. So you need to be ready. You need to be prepared to answer those questions. But most of all, you need to reach an agreement with your husband, because you're going to have to be both on the same page in order to deal with whatever reaction they might have when they find out about the truth. You might need some family counseling from your pastor, or from a deacon, or from someone that is prepared enough spiritually and academically in order to be able to help you with the situation, because it might develop a lot of anger in your other children. They might start not treating your other son or daughter the right way. They might start becoming a little apprehensive towards you. So you might need some counseling. The sooner you get this over with, the better. I will most certainly say that it's better to do it at an early age, but not too early, not earlier than 7 years old, because the child just doesn't understand it during that time. So But the teenage years is probably not the most appropriate time to share that information. But if you haven't shared it and they're already teenagers, such is life. You're going to have to do it before somebody else does it. But the first thing at hand is reaching an agreement with your husband. Do not do it behind his back. You can kill the relationship, and that is going to kill your stability, the stability of your children, the emotional stability that they now have. So please don't do that. Cherish the trust that you both have on one another, and work on those communicating skills in order for him to tell you really what's going on and really what's bothering him, so that you can both reach an agreement and you can move forward. Invest some prayer and some fasting with the situation. And even if you try to communicate with your husband and it doesn't work, he's not willing to budge, sweetheart, do what I have done a million times and it always works, and not just me. Many women in the world and many women in the Bible. The book of Esther says that Esther had to go see the king, but she knew that she was not going to be well received because she had not been called. So she fasted and prayed 3 days, and when she went to see the king welcomed her. So the Lord gave her grace in the king's eyes. The Lord can most certainly give you grace in front of your husband's eyes. Invest a little time in prayer and fasting. Sometimes we women want to do everything on our own and just use our wisdom and, everything that we got, even our body, in order to get what we want to get. But, it doesn't always work. But prayer and fasting most certainly breaks a lot of chains and allows us to accomplish whatever goal we have set out for ourselves. God bless you, and I will be praying for your family and your children. Do not let Satan come into your home and destroy your children. The Lord has blessed you abundantly. He has given you a husband to watch over you, over your oldest, and over the children you have now. And that is something to cherish. May the Lord bless you.